think personal finance is heading toward better and smarter world because AI would get stronger than it is now. It's already very strong. It will get stronger than now. Every new model release makes AI stronger. Most of the AI tools would also get cheaper, just like your computer, right? People were buying the same computer 30 years back for $1,000 as they are buying now, just that the power of computer is 100 times more. So same thing would happen here too in the world of personal financial advisory. And most of the assets under management would move, in my mind, from human advisory to AI advisory.
Welcome back to the Enhanced AI Partners podcast, the show where we explore the quiet shifts in financial services, technology, and the future of human connection. I'm your host, Johan Mejia, founder of Enhanced AI Partners. Our mission is to help leaders harness AI for smarter growth, and through this show, spotlight innovations that are reshaping finance, tech, and the customer experience. Today, I'm joined by Lord Munjal, co-founder of Alpheva AI. Lord brings a remarkable background across Wall Street and big tech, from Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Citi, to Google, Yahoo, and Expedia. And now, with Alpheva, he's tackling one of the biggest gaps in financial services, making high-quality financial advice available to the other 99%. Alpheva is positioning itself as an AI-powered financial advisor, 10 times cheaper than Goldman and 1 time better than Buffett. By combining open banking, APIs, and AI, the platform delivers tailored, actionable financial guidance for everyday consumers, from optimizing credit cards to refinancing mortgages to smarter investing. In this episode, we'll unpack why traditional financial advice often excludes most people, how AI is leveling the playing field for mass consumers, the biggest trust and adoption challenges ahead, and where personal finance is headed in the next 3 to 5 years. Lord, I'm excited to dive in with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Johan. I'm super excited to speak with your viewers and listeners through this medium as well.
Awesome. So let's get ahead and go ahead and get started. We'll start tackling the origin and the mission of Alpheva. So, Lord, your career spans Wall Street and big tech. What problems did you see that inspired Alpheva?
Excellent question, Johan. So I've been a 3 times founder, and the problem on recurring basis that I've been seeing is that if you are in the top 1% of the population, which means you have some money, then you get best of the financial advisors hovering around you. The more money you have, or the more honey you have, the more bees or the financial advisors come to you, because they want to manage your money, and their income depends upon how big a pot of money they are managing. Whereas most people don't have a large pot of money. So for a typical financial advisory business, if you don't have anything more than $250,000, then you're not that value additive to them, as a result of which they are not going to be there to provide you financial advice and counsel. Now, the reality of life is that most hardworking Americans do not have $250,000 sitting aside to give to a financial advisor to manage, to seek their advice. Okay. So this is where Alpheva AI comes in. We are the smartest and the cheapest AI-based financial advisor in the world, where you as a user would come in 3 minutes. You can integrate your banking data with us through the APIs. It's a self-guided process. Doesn't take the 4th minute even. In less than 3 minutes, you are done. Using which Alpheva AI has well-protected information coming to us about your brokerage accounts, if you have any, about your banking account, and about your credit account, so any credit cards you have. Alpheva AI agent would also have a private conversation with you on your financial goals. No two people have similar financial situation and financial goals. Okay, so you may have a financial goal to retire at 40, whereas the other person may have a financial goal to buy a beach house or pay for a child's tuition, or buying a super expensive car or going for an international vacation. Different goals for different people. So all these goals get saved in the proprietary encrypted database of Alpheva. So Alpheva also takes into account your risk propensity and what should be your ideal risk propensity. Some people are aggressive risk takers. Other people are very conservative risk takers. They don't want to take any risk, saying that, oh, you know what, I rather stuff my money under my mattress because banks could fail too. And on the other side, you have people saying that, oh, I have only $1,000 and I'm going to blow it in a casino. So, go big or go home kind of mindset. And neither of these extremes are good for the average customer. So this is where Alpheva comes in, helps you navigate the financial terrain, even though you may not have good background in finance or understanding of the finance. So that's why the name came into play, which is Alpheva, is short form for alpha evaluator. Alpha in finance is excess returns. So as a CFA charter holder, I saw this regularly in my banking career and even beyond. When I came to the other side of the table and these financial advisors would come to me saying that we want to manage your money, and they wouldn't go to some of my friends who didn't have a decent money piled up because it's not worth it for them, because they take 1 to 2% of the assets under management. So imagine if they can manage somebody's $20 million, they make 1% of it, roughly $200,000 a year. Whereas if somebody has barely $25,000 or $5,000, then they don't have much to make. So as a result of which, they will not waste your time. However, what happened just last year was the reasoning models of the LLM and mathematical models of the LLMs became super advanced, and they're going to get better and better from here onwards, and cheaper too. So we said, why don't we pack all this information uh, in our tool called Alpheva and give it to everybody out there in the world, starting from US. So I hope that gives you a flavor on how the genesis of Alpheva came about and how we saw this to be a recurring problem. And the problem has become worse and worse because 75% of America has some level of financial anxiety. And now you can alleviate this financial anxiety by simply using the conversational tool of Alpheva, speaking with your personal financial advisor, Alpheva.
That's really fascinating, and I think you touched point on a couple of really important things that I'd want to highlight. So you said, and you mentioned that, I mean, Alpheva is a full stack AI financial advisor made for each client. So it's customized, or it can be customized for each client's needs, goals, risk management. And I think it's interesting that because when one thinks about a financial advisor, one thinks about a brokerage account, stocks, investing. But you mentioned also, I mean, saving for a trip, saving for a car, deciding what to do with my bonus. Deciding if I should pay the loan first or maybe invest. So I think that's very, very powerful. And, that kind of cuts into the second question, that is why focus specifically on that other 99%. And I mean, part of it is, I think, is that it's an uncovered, untapped market.
Yeah, so we wanted to do something for the social good too. If you look at all my ventures, my previous venture, Utopia, was around making home ownership accessible to everyone. A venture prior to that, Dr. Insta, was about democratizing healthcare. This time, we are democratizing financial advice. The reason is the top 1% have plenty of help available to them. So major companies like two of my previous employers, Citibank or Bank of America Merrill Lynch, or other players, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Ameriprise, LPL, and so many more, are super keen to manage your money if you are in the 1%.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody is knocking the doors of the remaining 99% because to them, they are not worth it because they don't have enough, pot of money for these guys to manage. So that's why the Alpheva is focusing on this underserved or unserved but super large chunk of the population of the country.
Thank you for that. And then last question, and still on the origin and mission. Was there any personal story or defining moment that made you realize financial advice needed to be democratized?
So I've been fortunate to go to some great schools. I majored in finance and information technology, but many of my friends did not. They are smart engineers, smart math whizzes, or in other dimensions of society. Some of them are teachers, some of them are firefighters, some of them are police professionals. And what I see is that even for those who have a mathematics background, they also struggle with financial decisioning because the concept of money was not told to them or educated to them from a very early age. And I can understand most people don't like to deal with financial matters, as a result of which they don't realize how much money they are leaving on the table. And they
Mm-hmm.
should save this money or use this money to achieve their financial goals than leaving it on the table. For example, and I'm going to give you three unique examples so that your listeners and viewers can relate to it. A typical person, if they need a credit card, they will do a Google search or will open their mailbox, go through the promotional mail that they get and see, who is giving me most rewards? Okay, card one is giving me 100,000 points, card two is giving me 200,000 points. I'm going to go with 200,000 point card. But they don't peel the layers of the onion because they don't have the tools. And here is what I mean by that. In a perfect world, using the APIs, we can see where you spent your money in the last
Mm-hmm.
1 year, in the last 2 years, in the last 6 months. Now, we are in a position to tell you that, hey, listen, card two on the surface is giving you 200,000 points incentive, but net based on your expense pattern, you are able to get maybe over 500,000 points worth of benefit by using card
I
8
see.
or signing up for card 8 than the other card that you got in your mail or you found through Google search, because different cards reward your different expense categories differently. Airlines cards reward you more on air travel. Similarly, fuel credit cards reward you more on fuel. Grocery cards reward you more on groceries, but you don't know which card is able to maximize your points. This
Mm-hmm.
is example number one. Example number two, most people don't know whether they are underinsured, overinsured for the different insurance products they have, from health insurance to car insurance to homeowners insurance to renters insurance. They don't know what kind of deductible they should have. Since Alpheva has a holistic picture on your finances as well as your financial goals, Alpheva could advise you, hey, listen, you are better off sticking with, State Farm and not Allstate, or vice versa. And this is the kind of premium you should be paying, and this is the kind of deductible you should be having, because maybe you can afford to take slightly more risk, or maybe you cannot afford to take even the risk you are taking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Alpheva would be able to advise you better in a situation like that. The third use case that you briefly touched upon was, let's say I got a $20,000 bonus or a $10,000 bonus at the end of the year for my working very hard at my employers. Now, I don't know whether I should pay off my loan, or I should buy some stocks, or I should put it in a high yield savings account, which gives me a best long term or mid term return, which is also aligned with my financial goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Alpheva AI, because it is a full holistic 360-degree view of your finances and your goals, so we know where you're coming from financially, we also know where you want to go to financially, we are in a better position to tell you what to do with it. Not just that, we also know your loan terms. So we can advise you, hey, listen, you're better off paying off the loan if the interests are way too high and stock market is trading at a very attractive multiple, then it's a no-brainer that you should put this money in the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa, depending upon case by case.
So that's fascinating, and thank you for sharing that, Lord. Now let's dive into how Alpheva is actually delivering this in practice. So we're going to be talking more about Alpheva as a product and how has different features that make you unique. So now you touched base on this a little bit in the beginning question, but walk us through how Alpheva works. What does the first time user experience look like once I sign up with you guys?
Sure. So basically, you go to alpheva.com, ALPHEVA.com. You sign up for Alpheva. Now, You can integrate your banking APIs. Again, in less than 3 minutes, you're onboarded. You have a brief call with the Alpheva voice agent, which takes into account your current financial situation, your age, your short-term goals, your mid-term goals, your long-term financial goals, your family situation, you're single, married, divorced, you have kids or other dependents, you have senior citizen parents who are dependents or they are independent. All those things are factored in, as a result of which Alpheva AI agent then develops your unique, highly customized financial plan. And
Right.
now that stays there. You can ask Alpheva anytime through a simple chat prompt that, hey, advise me on this matter or advise me on that financial matter. You can even ask simple basic questions about your expenses. Hey, how much did I spend on coffee in the last 3 months? Or how much did I spend on bars in the last 6 months? How much did I spend on air travel in the last 1 year? All this would be given to you in less than 10 seconds. How can I save more? Okay. Alpheva can also review your current financial products and advise you whether you probably should go for some other product with the same company or some other product with a different company or a same product with a different company
Mm-hmm.
to save money without compromising on the quality of service or the quality of the product that you have been using.
Perfect. So that does actually explain that first time user experience, and it seems like it's a very seamless and tech friendly
Yeah,
guide.
it's super tech friendly. I mean, you won't even know what's there in the back end because you don't have to. And you would always get apt to the point, very accretive, very beneficial financial advice from Alpheba.
And I know you've used the tagline, and it's actually on your background: 10 times cheaper than Goldman, 1 times better than Buffett. What does that mean in practice for you guys?
Sure. So we were taking a swipe at Goldman Sachs, which charges an arm and a leg and only serves the top 1% of the country's population because only they have the money, which might be making it worth it for them to give financial advice to.
Hmm.
So with Alpheva, we are way, way cheaper, actually more than 10 times, but because 10 rhymes, so that's why the marketing department went with 10x. But we are by a factor of 100 times cheaper than Goldman.
Oh
You're
wow.
paying basically the cost of a cup of coffee from Starbucks
Hmm.
for Alpheva's monthly service. 1x better than Buffet. So I come from the world of finance. Buffet is like a god to us. He has been a amazing investor for over 70 plus years, in his late 90s now. And he has been able to deliver humongous returns for his investors. And we are saying we are just as good as Buffett because we have the power of artificial intelligence now. Buffett has been operating in a different era. For most of his operating years, there was no AI. But now with AI, we can give you similar kind of financial advice at fraction of a price. That's what it means.
That's beautiful. I think that's very exciting for, I mean, the 99% of people that can't afford to give an arm and a leg. And what makes your AI approach uniquely positioned to solve this specific challenge in the financial advising sector?
Oh, same as I mentioned earlier. We are a hardcore financial advisor AI company. Okay. If you ask us, hey, give me relationship advice, sorry, Alfiba cannot help you.
Hmm.
Okay. If they, oh, I'm feeling depressed, I mean, Alfiba would say, I'm sorry, this is not my core competence. Right. But if you ask for any financial advice, any of the things that we talked about so far, from your loans, from your insurance, from your portfolio construction, that how much money should I put in real estate, how much money should I put in crypto, how much money should I put in stock market, how much money should I save in an emergency day fund, Alfiva would be at your service in a matter of few seconds. So because that's the deep vertical that we are focused on, that's what differentiates Alfiva AI from the other AI companies out there.
Awesome. And that was actually the next question. Where do you see the biggest difference between what a FIVA delivers versus traditional advisors, one, and any new, financial services that you have seen in the past few years?
Yeah, so traditional financial advisors are good people. As a CFA, I have a lot of respect for them. All of them are sharp, but then there's a difference between being sharp and being Albert Einstein. So
Mm-hmm.
Alpheva is the Albert Einstein of finance. It's best of the best of the best because we have the power of AI, which we are harnessing to give you a top tier advice on your financial situation. You can run all kinds of simulation scenarios. Should I buy a home now or should I wait? What would happen to my finances if I buy a home now versus 3 years from now? All these things are there to be addressed by Alpheva, and that's the beauty of the tool.
Thank you, Lord. So we've talked about the mechanics. Now let's hop on and talk about challenges of building trust and scaling adoption for Alpheva. So traditional financial advice is built on trust. How do you build that trust when users know that advice is AI driven?
Yeah, so with AI, it's even in my mind, if you are tech savvy person that the current generation is, right? Then we live in a world where we open the app and order a cab driven by a stranger. When I was growing up, my parents would tell me not to sit in a car driven by a stranger, right? Or we also open an app where we order food and we take food from some stranger again and then consume that food. When I was a 6-year-old child, my mom would tell me not to take food from stranger, right? So digital economy has already put checks and balances in place.
Mm-hmm.
The current generations and the future generations even more are digital kids or digital adults. They are comfortable and trust their information to double encrypted platforms like Alpheva AI to
Mm-hmm.
give them the best possible advice. So we are as safe and secure as a bank vault when it comes to your private proprietary information. It just stays in your proprietary knowledge base, and even we at Alpheva, the human beings working at Alpheva, cannot access it because it's all encrypted. And that's where the trust component comes into play.
And it sounds like does have that trust component figured out.
And as far as scaling is concerned, this is
Mm-hmm.
where hosts like you are helping us in spreading the word to as many people as possible in the country so that they can go to alpheva.com and use the product themselves and see the proof of the pudding in the pudding itself.
Yep. And hopefully we'll get to help Alpheva with that goal. And up to now, what have you learned so far about onboarding, new users? Are users more excited, skeptical, or a mix of both? What were you thinking the user was going to have a reaction for when they first signed in?
See, most users who come to Alpheva have already used some of the other LLM tools, which are general purpose natured, like
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Anthropic Claude or Perplexity. So these people know how Alpheva is supposed to work. Also, some of our users are the ones who in the past were using some PFM tools, PFM being personal financial management tools like Rocket Money, Mint,
Mm-hmm.
Clio, Monarch, Origin, and many more. So they have a basic understanding of how it would work. And now when they come to Alpheva, what they see is that, oh my goodness, here AI is at the front and center. All the other people put AI around what they were doing. So it's not the beating
Okay.
heart of what they're doing. With Alpheva, it's an AI company first. AI is the beating heart of Alpheva.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the things that we noticed. Some of the other feedback that we got from users that our engineering team is actively working on are making Alpheva multilingual. So if I'm a Spanish speaking person who is not that conversant in English language, how can I get the best possible advice from Alpheva? Because I can speak only Spanish. I can read only Spanish. I don't know how to read English or speak in English. So
Mm-hmm.
these are some of the additional things we are adding. In the next version of Alpheva, Alpheva would be able to speak to you in over 100 world languages
Oh, wow.
and give you financial advice and understand your comment too in any of these 100 world languages. So that was one critical piece of learning that we got. We also got a lot of positive feedback on the user journey, that what should
Mm-hmm.
come where, how to position different buttons, and also AI thrives on reinforced learning from a customer feedback. So when
Yeah.
customer says thumbs up or thumbs down, we ingest that information, and AI becomes self-evolving and self-improving, okay, from that feedback. So we encourage people to provide us feedback, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, because that would just make Alpheva a better tool for you as a user the next minute after you give the feedback. uh, and and then we take it from there. So these are some of the key learnings that we have gathered so far. We encourage more and more people to try out Alpheva, and then we would be happy to hop on customer discovery calls with these users as well and collect their feedback.
So, I mean, it does sound like not only is Alpheva is like a ever evolving AI financial tool that not only gets feedback from what you in the Alpheva team, see with the feedback, but also constantly is evolving with the user experience feedback. So I think that's very, very powerful. And how do you see regulations shaping the path for AI advisors to go mainstream?
Beautiful question. Financial advisory, if you look at that field, give me 1 second. I
Bless
wanted
you.
to say like sneezing, which I did. Thank you. So, there is a thin line between AI financial advisory and human financial advisory. In the first iteration, we are not managing people's money. We are just giving them advice on what to do with it. Okay. Now it's up to them whether they want to follow it or not. Whereas in case of a financial advisor, they have full access or partial access to your money, and they are making decisions on your behalf after speaking with you. Alpheva is not doing it. Also, if you say, hey, Alpheva would also not give you a specific stock tip. We won't say, hey, listen, go buy Coca-Cola, okay, which your financial advisor could do for you, because we don't know what they're selling to you, right? And they may, it's sometimes it's a fiduciary relationship, sometimes it's a non-fiduciary relationship. They may get a kickback from the other side too if they're selling any specific insurance company. Alpheva operates on the principle of being a full fiduciary to the customer, and we don't give stock tips. We can tell you that, hey, listen, let's say your salary is coming in, and hey, listen, you can put 40% of your salary in stock market because stock market is uh, trading at a very attractive multiple, and the best way would be to buy S&P 500 or Nasdaq
Gotcha.
index fund. But we won't give you a specific stock advice that, hey, go buy Nvidia now, or nothing of that sort would happen from Alpheva. So as a result of which, it stays away from the purview of the regulators at this point of time. But the whole field is new. I'm sure new rules would come, right? If you are developing the first selfless driving car, then the rules would follow once you're test driving the car. So it's a relatively new journey, but super beneficial for our customers. Our customers can save thousands of dollars by using a tool like Alpheva.
Thank you, Lord. And what are Alpheva's biggest challenges today? And what do you anticipate in the next 12 months for Alpheva?
The biggest challenges for Alpheva are, make our AI better and better. There is always an opportunity to give even more fine-tuned response to the question you are posing. Okay. So in 99.9% of the cases, it would be awesome, but maybe 0.1% there could be minor hallucinations. So that's why your up feedback or down feedback at the end of every response makes Alpheva better. Second is, you build the product, but then how do more and more people know of the product? So scaling is another challenge that we are solving for every day by educating more and more people on Alpheva so that they can kick the tires extra hard on Alpheva and get the beneficial advice from using the tool itself. So these are some of the two challenges, one on technical side, the other one on business side. A year from now, I don't know, a year, it could be 18 months, but we want Alpheva to be agentic. And by
Beautiful.
agentic, what I mean is, let's say, Johan, you got your salary today. Okay. It is sitting in your checking account, earning bare minimal 0.25% in interest. Think about it this way: Alpheva in your pocket nudges you saying that, hey, Johan, I see that you just got your salary. Congratulations. If you like, and I see you have enough emergency fund, and I see that you have a long way to go before you retire from the financial goals that you shared with me. So how about we invest this money in a stock market index fund? Johan could say yay, sure, or say nay. No, don't do that, because maybe I'm going to Europe for my vacation and I need this money. So if Johan says yay, Johan would see on the portfolio tab of Alpheva money moving from his checking account to the brokerage account and an index being bought there. So that's agentic nature. Similarly, if Johan says, no, I'm actually going to visit some European countries, so I would need this money, then Alpheva says, hey, Johan, there is no point in your keeping this in your checking account. If you allow me, I can also move this money to your high yield saving account where you can make 4% APR. So Johan says, yeah, that makes sense. And Johan says, yes. Okay. Now, of course, you put checks and balances here. So there is a multi-factor or two-factor authentication. So the next day, Johan doesn't come to Alpheva and says, oh, I was drunk, so I fat-fingered yay. Okay. But keeping that aside, the money moves in a agentic manner from Johan's checking account to Johan's high-yield saving account. So this way, again, Johan maximizes his returns using a tool like Alpheva without wasting a single day of parking that money in a low interest rate bearing account.
Oh, that's amazing. And you said you wanted to release that in the next 8 months, I think you said?
No, I said could be 18 months,
18.
12 to 18
sorry.
months. Yes. When Alpheva becomes agentic, yes.
That's still pretty powerful, and as a user, it keeps me excited because I know this big update is coming. And let's see, last question in this segment: has there been a surprising adoption insight, something users wanted or resisted that shaped your roadmap?
Something that user wanted was the multilingual support that I already talked about. Resisted, some people are little skeptical, and I think you touched upon that point too, about having their bank share their data with us. So for them, we added a feature about manually adding their bank information. So if you're not comfortable with your due consent, getting your Bank of America checking account information and all the transactions, then you can just manually mention that, oh, you have $5,000 sitting in your Bank of America account or $3,000 sitting in your Chase account. And this way, Alpheva can still provide you deeper insights on how to go about managing your financial situation than having none of this information available. And I can tell you the percent of people who go for this manual entry is still very, very small. Most of the people are very comfortable with integrating their bank accounts, brokerage accounts with Alpheva, because we are just asking for read access, right? Which means that we don't have the power on your money. Your money stays your money, and you have the power to move it wherever you want. Alpheva cannot.
But still, I mean, it's very useful that you give that option. If I don't want the API to connect to my Bank of America account, that I do it manually, which would take a little bit more time, but I mean, you're giving that option to the user, which I think is
also, some of the information is not even there out there. For example, you have two people, let's say both are 35-year-old. One person is supposed to get a $10 million inheritance from his parents or grandparents. The other person is living paycheck to paycheck. Nobody knows what is the size of inheritance, right?
Yeah.
So this customer can key that in the app, saying, oh, you know what, my grandfather is leaving me whatever that amount is, $100,000 or $10 million, right? Similarly, let's say John gave $10,000 loan to his friend Peter. Okay. And now Peter has to return that money at some point of time. So John would have to provide that information manually to Alpheva. Alpheva won't know, because this information is not there in his financial or banking database or brokerage database. Similarly, let's say Johan invested $5,000 in a friend's company or a friend's restaurant. We don't know, and nor does your bank, and nor does your brokerage account, right? So you can enter this information manually that, hey, I lent $5,000 to a friend of mine to open a restaurant, or I borrowed $5,000 from a friend of mine and I need to return that. Okay. So now that becomes your liability. Only you can enter that information. Nobody else knows.
So you guys are covering all the financial aspects of regular
Totally.
person's
Yeah.
life.
I mean, if let's say your Dad gifted you a Rolex watch, which is worth $20,000. You can keep that invaluable. Somebody gifted some expensive painting to somebody, which has some, financial value. You can put that in Alpheva. So all those bases are covered in Alpheva, and we are not saying we are perfect. We welcome every good, bad, ugly feedback from our users so that we can make Alpheva even better for you and our future customers.
I think that's really powerful. That you're open to receive feedback, I mean, being it good, bad, ugly, horrible, because at the end of the day, it'll help both people become better. So I think that's really powerful that you have an open mind, and that the team has an open mind behind Alpheva and is willing to adjust and work as users give you guys feedback. And before we close and finish, I'd love to zoom out and get your vision of where this industry is headed and what you're thinking. So, what do
I think
millennials and Gen Z want differently from financial advice compared to older generations?
I think older generation had probably less financial anxiety. If you look at the wages growth rate in the country, we are dealing with wage stagnation. Wages have gone up by 2 to 3% on annual basis, whereas education has become far more expensive, far more than 2 to 3% on annual basis. Healthcare has become far more expensive, far
Yeah.
more than 2 to 3% a year. In the past, you could afford to buy your first home at the age of 30. Now, most people cannot afford to buy their first home even at the age of 40. So, the financial anxiety level has increased. In the past, not all women were in workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Today, almost all women are in the workforce. So, despite the fact that household income has increased because both the husband and the wife in most traditional households are working, yet because other things, education, healthcare, cost of living, housing, cars have become far more expensive, all this has led to increased financial anxiety amongst the current generation. And it probably would get worse with the inflation being so high. Also, in the past, people would invest money into objects,
Mm-hmm.
and now people want to invest their resources in experiences. So that's another thing which has changed for good or bad in the newer generation versus the older generation when it comes to money matters. In the past, you may
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, I want to buy a vacation home." And now you may say, "Oh, I want to travel 100 countries in the world," right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is not to say that not everyone that everyone has changed their goals, but most people now want experiences than objects.
Mm-hmm.
People are happy taking Airbnb and going to new places than going to the same house over and over and worrying about the maintenance of that house for the remaining 8, 9 months when they're not using that house. So that has changed. Other thing which has changed is BNPL culture, buy now,
Mm-hmm.
pay later culture, which has made it easier for people to consume objects and services that they can't even afford. In the past, they would have credit card, but then in a credit card, most you can do is defer the payment by 30 days. But with BNPL or easy to attain personal loans, you can now extend that time horizon. So these are some of the changes that we have seen in broad strokes when it comes to financial world that we are operating in.
And still, Alfiva would cover everyone. So beautiful there.
100%.
Next question: where do you see personal finance heading in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think personal finance is heading toward better and smarter world
Mm-hmm.
because AI would get stronger than it is now. It's already very strong. It will get stronger than now. Every new model release makes AI stronger. Most of the AI tools would also get cheaper, just like your computer, right? People were buying the same computer 30 years back for $1,000 as they are buying now, just that the power of computer is 100 times more. So same thing would happen here too in the world of personal financial advisory. And mm, most of the assets under management would move, in my mind, from human advisory to AI advisory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that human beings would become redundant. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that in the past, if people were fighting these battles with knives, now we are giving them guns, far more powerful tools than they were having earlier. So one financial advisor with a power of AI can now take care of 1,000 customers than 50 or 100 customers. Okay. So that number would increase multifold. And also the quality of advice would increase multifold too. In the past, a human being could err, saying, no, you know what, I forgot. Or maybe I didn't see the document where you had made me capture this financial detail about you or this financial history about you. I apologize. AI would not forget anything. AI
Mm-hmm.
has the memory of an elephant. So that's the beauty of the world that we are going to operate in the next 3 to 5 years.
If AI becomes the default advisor, what roles do humans play in the future of financial advice?
Humans would still play an important role. As I said, that a typical human being now could manage far larger number of customers than the person could today.
Mm-hmm.
The acts of omission or commission would reduce drastically because human beings could forget, AI would not. So I feel that you would prefer to play golf with a human being if you have large amount of money, and that human being could be a financial advisor,
Mm-hmm.
and you would enjoy playing golf or going on lunch with your financial advisor, something that AI cannot do. So it's the that human touch and feel aspect which would always be there,
Mm-hmm.
involved when it comes to the matters of money.
And last question in this segment. Do you have any advice for any co founders, founders, startup CEOs that are either in the constructing phase, thinking about the idea during the funding? So, do you have any advice for any of our listeners that are in that?
Oh, definitely. And you said this is the advice for the other founders or in general?
It could be for other founders, but in general as well for anyone that's looking to, go into this startup world.
Sure. So if you are thinking of launching a startup or you're already in the journey, congratulations. A major world changes start with a thought. It's a very tough, very arduous journey, but still totally worth it. The kind of satisfaction that you get from conceiving an idea to working on an idea to finally launching the idea to seeing that first smile on the face of your first customer, that
Mm-hmm.
experience is priceless. I won't compare it to the experience of being a first time parent, but if there is any experience which is similar to that, then that would be this, right? So that's the beauty of it. And I think grit is what is needed to launch and then scale a startup. Keep your head down and your eyes and ears on the ground. Capture the customer feedback, have your founding engineers incorporate that feedback in the product, and iterate fast, incorporate fast, and then see how the magic happens.
That was really powerful. And I mean, we'll take that on our side as well as some advice. And before we wrap up, we'll do a quick fire round. So we'll do 3 questions. We kind of touched base on a few of those. But what we want is 10 to 15-second answers from this quick fire prediction round. So, what's one thing about financial advice that will look totally different in 5 years?
Agentic nature of financial advice,
Perfect.
where you say yay or nay. You don't have to go to your own bank accounts, your own brokerage accounts. Everything is done by a workflow agent in one app.
Beautiful. And what's one trend in financial advice you see growing fast right now?
I think usage of AI.
And what's one overrated trend in financial advice that will die in the next few years?
Overrated that would die. That's a tough question. Overrated that would die, that financial models could hallucinate. In the past, if these models were making 1 in 10,000 errors, now they were making 1 in 1 million errors. Soon they would
Mm-hmm.
make 1 in 10 million errors. And this error rate and the magnitude of the error is far less than human error. Unfortunately, we feel that human beings treat AI with a pinch of salt sometimes. Like, for example, if a self-driving car, even if because of some human being's fault, that human being gets injured by a self-driving car, then the city which had given the permit to a self-driving car company would shut down a self-driving car.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at accidents per thousand, we are at a stage where accidents per thousand miles covered, or whichever metric you use to standardize the comparison, is far less with self-driving cars than human-driven cars. Self-driving cars don't get drunk, They don't do hit and run.
hmm
Human beings do. So same thing is happening with AI.
Thank you. And that was actually our last question. So go ahead and go through the closing remarks. And in this episode, we covered the theme, which was AI for the other 99%, helping everyone access financial advice like the 1%. We uncovered the 10 times cheaper than Goldman, 1 time better than Buffett, why traditional finance advice often excludes most people, how AI is leveling the playing field for mass consumers, where personal finance is headed in the next 3 to 5 years, and some of the bigger challenges that Alpheva is facing at the moment and where they're headed in the next 12 to 18 months. So, Lord, this has been such a thoughtful conversation. I love how Alpheva is reframing financial advice for everyone, not as something, reserved for the wealthy, but as a right for the 99%. Before we wrap, I want to double check to see if we can add your LinkedIn on the description
Oh,
so that
definitely.
people can follow your journey. And for everyone listening, head to alpheva.com. That's ALPHEVA.com. And you'll be able to find their open beta access right there. And if you're interested in following Lord Munjal's journey, please give him a follow. And to our audience, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a colleague. Lord, thank you again for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing how Alpheva helps the 99% get access to advice like the 1%.
I appreciate your help, Johan, and thank you to you as well as to your viewers and listeners for staying with us. And look forward to serving all of you guys through Alpheva AI's financial tool. So if you are in US anywhere from Puerto Rico to Hawaii, feel free to go to alpheva.com and get our financial advisory tool to help you save more.
Perfect. Thank you, Lord.
Take care. Have a good one.